Hello, everyone. Dean on the Street, host of the Dean Blechman Show here in the Big Apple, New York City. And I'm with my dear friend, David Epstein. And dude, this show is going to be a little bit more different than any show I've done before. It's always been my mission that people go through all kinds of life experiences, and that Dean on the Street and even the Dean Blechman Show, people have an opportunity to come on and share those personal experiences with the world. And David's come in here today. He's been through an extremely traumatic experience this past weekend that a lot of people would have a very difficult time coming in and sharing what he's going to share. And I want to thank him very much for coming in, and I'm going to leave it to him about this experience that he had this past weekend. David?
Thank you, Dean, for having me.
You're very welcome.
It's a pleasure to be on your show.
You're very welcome, David.
At this moment, I'm grieving. Unfortunately, this past weekend, I was forced to put my other dog, Snoopy, to sleep. Snoopy was 10. Snoopy lived a very happy, wonderful, and beautiful life and made many people happy. He was my best friend for a very long time, and I loved him and will always love him forever. What happened this weekend, it happened so fast. We talk about life, how precious it is, and how 1 minute you can be here, and the next minute you're not. Snoopy had been suffering from diabetes since this summer, and then around December, he lost his eyesight. And when he lost his eyesight, I did a lot of reading, and I found that when humans or animals lose their eyesight, what's supposed to happen is their other senses are supposed to kick in, and they're supposed to be able to hear a lot better, they're supposed to be able to smell a lot better, and eventually they adjust. Unfortunately, that never happened with Snoopy. Snoopy began to deteriorate after he became blind, and it just really got worse and worse. This past weekend, on Friday night, Snoopy's eyes started to get swollen, and they became infected, and his head he was in so much pain. And I did everything from put warm compresses on him to clean his eyes over and over again, and to do whatever I could to make him comfortable. And I realized that I needed to get him to the vet, and I didn't know what to do. Dude and I took Snoopy to the vet, and they explained to me that they could go and actually remove his eyes, and they could go and try all these things that potentially could go and save his life. But in reality, I had to think long and hard about this, because our pets, dogs, cats, they're in our life for one reason and one reason only, and that's to make us happy. And he made me so happy for so long, and I decided that it was a really great example of selfishness if I were to go and think of going and keeping Snoopy alive for me when he was in as much pain as he was. And it wasn't only about his eyes. He wasn't a well dog. He was sick. So I thought long and hard, and I did the unthinkable, which is I had to make the decision to go and unfortunately put him to sleep. It was so sad. I'm going to be graphic only because I can, and I have Dude in my arms, but if you could only imagine having Dude there with me, thank God, and I had Snoopy in the other arm, and they went and they put catheters in his paws, and they put Snoopy in my arms, and I just went and I started kissing his head like this over and over again, and I shut my eyes and I told them to do what they needed to do, And they did, and I held him and I gave him a big hug and a kiss, and it was such a difficult thing to do. But I'm grateful that I did it. I don't have any regrets about doing it because I know that I did the right thing. You know, it would be selfish for me to go and keep Snoopy alive for me when all he did his whole life was be there for me, and I love him and I always will. And I'm grateful to be able to share my story with you.
David, I know how painful this is for you. I know we had spoken over the weekend numerous times, and myself, I'll never forget ever my personal experiences. And when I was a kid, I was the last of 5 brothers living in the home with my parents. And I'll never forget, we had this beautiful Harlequin Great Dane, and the bigger the dog, the less, the shorter lifespan that they have. But this was a beautiful dog, a Harlequin Great Dane. And my dad, may he rest in peace, I'll just never forget that moment in time, that experience that I had with my dad, with this dog, Harley, that when it came to put Harley, I started reflecting back to the weekend, you and I speaking. Matter of fact, with my father, crying with him. I think it's the only time I've ever seen my dad that I remember being with my dad where I visually saw him crying and in such pain. So I really can only imagine the pain you're going through. I've got to ask you, and maybe for our listeners, this process and speaking to you over the weekend, how did you finally come to terms and make the decision?
I made the decision because I realized that it would be selfish for me to do anything other than to go and put Snoopy out of his pain. It wasn't something that I wanted to do, and I'm hoping that this episode that we're sharing with you, everybody will be able to help you, because again, part of living is dying, and everything that is alive will eventually die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just a matter of going and having a quality of life. And Snoopy's quality of life was he literally was walking into walls over and over again, and it came to the point on Sunday morning, every time he touched his head with his paw, he was crying, and it was so painful to watch. And I tried to think about what good was gonna come from doing something that was gonna be so tough.
Wow.
And the good that came, the great thing that came from what I went through, was to have the power to go and give Snoopy back what he gave me for so many years, was the ability to go and take away his pain.
Amazing. Is there anything that you want to share before I bring the show to a close?
Thank you for listening. I hope that this helps you. I hope that you don't have to go through this. But if you ever do, just remember one thing. You're doing this for the pet. You're not doing this for you.
Wow. I think there's more to it, David. I think just one, it's you showing just how strong one's relationship, one man's relationship is with his dog.
Yes.
I mean, it's
powerful.
It's incredible. There's a lot of people that
It's
don't have pets.
it's
There's a lot of people that
unconditional love.
There's a lot of people that don't have pets.
Yes.
A lot of people that don't have dogs for all sorts of reasons.
Yes.
And I'm glad I was able to be with you through the weekend.
Thank you.
By phone at least.
I appreciate
And,
it. And Dude actually has his own Instagram account if you want to follow Dude.
Oh, wow.
Dude lives quite a great life, and everywhere Dude goes, he makes people happy. And the last thing I want to share with you is that I made it a point to go and volunteer with Snoopy and Dude, but really with Snoopy, because he was so substantial and such a love. And we would go to, senior citizen homes and hospitals, and it was just such a beautiful thing to give back, because he was such a well-behaved, wonderful, amazing creature to be able to share him with people and see the way they lit up. You know, you walk into somebody's hotel room, somebody's hospital room, and you know they're sick in bed. But when you go and you put the dog on their lap, or they go and they just are able to touch and feel the energy, again, it's selfless and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you so much, Dean, for letting me share my story.
I appreciate it. I know it was difficult, and it's the message that you're putting out there. I'm hoping in the future that more people will come forward.
Thank you.
And please, my platform and my show is one for people to come on and share personal experiences. So,
Well,
dude, we'll see you next time, okay? And David, thank you, man. You're
Thank
a
you.
great friend.
Thank you so
for
much.
coming. And
It's an honor to be
David
here.
Epstein, my dear friend. This is Dude, also my friend. And I want to say, from Dean on the Street, from all of us at the Dean Blechman Show, thank you for being with us today, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.